So at the very bottom of the list is MoonRider.xyz. It's basically a combination between Synth Riders and Beat Saber, and for a free game, I mean, it's pretty good, but it's at the bottom of the list because I already have Beat Saber and I have Synth Riders, so there's really no reason for me to ever play MoonRider. Next one on the list is Cybercade. So this one's like a shooter type of game. It kind of looks like, sounds like a retro arcade. I thought it was a pretty polished game actually. The complaints that some of the people during my live stream said was that there just didn't seem to be like a progression level in the game. So the next game is called Harvest VR. It's crazy because this game is actually really built out. There's a lot to do in it. I mean, it doesn't have the best graphics, but it looks pretty good. And the whole point of the game is to like farm, mine, fish, grow vegetables, all the stuff. I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Minecraft because it has all the good elements in it, but it just doesn't have like a soul. It feels like there's no purpose. You're kind of just wandering around. And so the next game is called Spark VR. This game is like set in a Western world, and it's a typical like shooter game where you team up. Like when I played this, I got teamed up with 2 other people. So there were 2 teams of 3s against each other, and I actually had quite a bit of fun. The guns work pretty well, and I thought it was like a pretty fun game. But then I don't really play shooters that much, so the people that do play shooters a lot, the game felt more like it was based on luck because there wasn't really anything to hide behind. It was just very, you know, static buildings. It's almost like you just peek around and see what happens, but versus like having a strategy of how to play. Next game, Touring Karts. It's kind of like Mario Kart because you drive little cars around a racetrack, and then there are some interactable items and stuff. The reason it's low on my list specifically is it's just like I just don't care about racing games that much. I think if you like racing games, it could be a good one for you, especially because it's free. Okay, so we are gonna get to probably like the mid level now of my list. Okay, so this one is called PokeQuest VR, and it's basically Pokemon in VR, which by the way, I was so excited when I first heard about this, and when I tried the game, I got exactly what I thought I would get, but for some reason, I was expecting it to be more. It's pretty much Pokemon, but like 20 years ago type of Pokemon. So the game felt a little bit slow for me. It was a pretty good and accurate representation or recreation of Pokemon, but I think we're just in a different era of games now. So I could probably play that for a couple of hours out of pure nostalgia, but I think I'll get pretty bored pretty fast. Next on the list is Echo VR. It's a really good game. It's a combination of like Ultimate Frisbee and is it called Quidditch from Harry Potter? It's a combination of those two, but you're now playing it in space instead of playing it in brooms, but you physically are just standing there, but your character is going anti-gravity, flying through space and trying to like score on the other teams. So it can get pretty nauseating. The game itself is fun. If I didn't get nauseous, this would be higher on my list. Next on the list is Ultimax, which is kind of similar to Echo VR. You compete against another person, and in this one, you're kind of like Iron Man. It's like Iron Man soccer. I think you projectile your arm, and then your arm is what hits this giant soccer ball that bounces around this arena. So we're exactly halfway through the list. So this next one is called No More Rainbows. It's a pretty good game, actually. I would say we're getting to like the good game territory. Really great graphics, great gameplay. The storyline is pretty cool. You're like a demon, and there's this place that's all like all these happy little eggs who are having happy little lives, and you go in there and you crush them and you steal their souls and you use their souls to unlock gates. So the only thing is this game is actually just a demo or like an alpha or something early on. It's not the full game itself, which is what they said, but not higher on my list because it's only like a small little snippet of the game that you can play, and then you'd have to buy the full version once it comes out. Next game is Blaston. It's a dueling game where you have different types of weapons that spawn around you, and you basically just duel against another person, or you can play the campaign mode. This is a pretty fun game. I sweat like crazy when I play this game. I think I'm playing it wrong. I'm not very good at it, but overall super polished. It was actually a paid game before that recently became free, so very well done game. Okay, next on the list is a really, really popular game. It is called Gun Raiders. I mean, when I jumped into it, it was like a free-for-all. Everyone was running around and just killing each other. It was just a free-for-all. And again, I don't really like FPS games, but this one felt like a little less stressful because it was a free-for-all, but also the scenery was kind of weird. Like it was a house where everything was really big and I was tiny. So it just felt like more lighthearted type of FPS game, which I like. This would score higher on the list if it had better graphics, in my opinion. I don't think the graphics graphics are fully fleshed out, but I don't think it hurts the gameplay itself, so I think we're okay. This next game's not out yet. It is going to be free and it will be out soon, called Monkey See, Monkey Doo-Doo. It's a pretty fun game. I would have put this higher on the list, but I haven't really had a chance to play with enough people to see how good it will rank. The point of the game is to collect the most bananas, so you're racing against everybody else to collect the most bananas, and then you can throw your poop at the other monkeys to make them lose their bananas. So overall, I think it's like a really creative, it's a really fun and silly game, and I think we need a lot more multiplayer games that aren't specifically like shooter type games. So I think this game has a lot of potential, but we'll need to see once it comes out. We are down to the last 5 games on my list. The 5th one is going to be Floating Worlds. It's similar to Raft. In this one little floating world surrounded by water, and then there's all these like items floating around you, and you have tools, so you have to kind of like fetch these items out of the water, and then you can either break them down into their materials, use them for something, and then you can, after you break them down, you can use them to make other stuff. I think it has a lot of potential. It's not higher because I had some issues. I don't know if it was the game issues or if it was me and my skills issues, but I was kind of struggling a little bit when I was playing this. I kept losing my items everywhere. Once this game gets more developed, it's going to like shoot up pretty high on the list. So now we're on number 4 on this countdown. It's called Bait, and it's pretty much you just go fishing. There's a storyline to it, but now there's also a multiplayer mode. The game itself is like pretty well developed and it's fun. And it's weird because you're gonna think, why would you want to go fishing in VR? How could that possibly be fun? But they make it fun. Pretty much like when you catch a fish, like they make it hard to catch a fish. Each fish that you catch, there's different like ratings on them on how rare they are. So even just like the solo mode was pretty fun, but then there was also like a multiplayer mode where you can literally just go and do like either random mini games, or you can go like fishing in like Antarctica, I guess, because there's like big ice stuff all around you. There's just a lot to do in this game. Really well done. Even though it's old, it's really good. It's called Bait, if I didn't mention that already. This third one is called Traversal. I almost wanted to put it as number 1 because it's just so creative. So in this game, it basically like takes your floor plan and it will scale the game to fit your floor plan. And there's like a bunch of different walls, but the weird and trippy thing about this is it's like a maze. Think of a maze, because it knows that you only have a small floor plan. After you go around in one side and you come through the other, and you already know you walk through that side because you literally just did like a loop-de-loop. And there's a lot of different worlds that you can do. Some of them are like games, some of them are just like things to explore. But yeah, so I think what I like about it the most is how creative it is, and it's kind of mind-bending. So number 2, we have Master of the Tattooverse. Oh man, I got into this game and immediately I was like blown away. Graphics look good, everything's super detailed, well developed. The whole point of the game is you have clients that come into your tattoo parlor, but you're like an apprentice tattooer. You're supposed to give them the tattoo that they ask for, and you get all these tools to tattoo them with. And then also your client, if you're like doing it too hard, like applying too much pressure, they start squirming around and getting mad at you. And when you're done tattooing them, they like tell you if they like it or they don't like it. So it's like, it was really, really good, but it was a demo game. I only got to tattoo 1 client. Yeah, if this was not a demo game, it would have obviously been number 1 on the list. Okay, and number 1, we have big screen. Yay! Basically like a movie theater in VR that you can go to with a bunch of different friends or people from all over the world. So for example, I set up VR movie night for Discord or our Discord community, or we watched Elf the other day. And by the way, you don't have to stream from your computer, but the fact that there's that option is pretty cool. Like there's always different movies playing and different TV shows playing for free, or there's also paid ones. I watched this with my community in this like private movie theater, and it was so good because otherwise I would have just watched this at home by myself. And trust me, my TV is a lot smaller in real life than what it looks like in VR. I am going to continue live streaming free VR games on YouTube during my weekly Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time live streams. If you give me a game that I haven't added to my list, I'll make sure to play them, so that way for the next version of this video, I can include a lot more free games. Bye!